Hello everybody, my name is Dr.StarRx. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that can help you do well in veterinary school. So with that being said, please stay tuned. So I'm going to go over 5 things that I do and have found to be pretty beneficial in terms of helping me in terms of my studies in veterinary school so far. I want this video to be a very beneficial video, to be very helpful, informational for those that are maybe in school right now, in veterinary school, or those that are about to start school in the fall. Also, if you have anything like tips or tricks that you do while in veterinary school that is proven to be very beneficial to you, drop it in the comment section. I want this video to be very overall, informational and beneficial to help everybody, in this field particular. We're all in this together, so let's help each other out. So one thing I believe is very important, especially since, veterinary school is a very stressful environment. You're learning a lot of information, you got a lot of classes, etc., and it's 5 days out the week usually. I believe it's very beneficial to have 1 day a week where you just get away from it all. Get away from studies, get away from school, and just get to yourself and just relax. Get some peace, get some quiet, or do something fun. It's very easy to get caught up in the cycle of just studying, which honestly it is very important that you study effectively in veterinary school, but you still need to get away and have a mental break every once in a while. So one thing I typically do is, particularly around the weekend, I like to have a day where I don't do anything vet school related, or I do some lax studying where I don't study intensely like I would during the normal Monday through Friday routine. This day should be your day to recharge. Typically, that's why I like to do mine during the weekend, because I like to recharge, get refreshed before school the next week. And so that's basically it. Just have 1 day to yourself. And some of y'all may already knew that, but it's always good to get a reminder every once in a while. And this is kind of ironic because I just speak about having a day to yourself where you don't do any studying, things like that. But this next thing that I typically do, I call it proactive studying. 6 to 5 days or 5 to 6 days out the week, I study. Now, I don't study like a crazy amount of hours. I don't do 5 hours or that. I typically study about 2 hours a day, ideally, after class, Monday through Friday. That is the ideal week for me. Right after class, I go grab a room and I go over the things that I learned that day while in class and lectures and things like that. I believe while it's still fresh in your mind, it's easier to retain and also easier to understand as well too. So I always like to go back and just look over the things that I learned that day in class, 2 hours, and and just study it. And then after that, after I get done studying, it's about 6 or 7 o'clock. This class gets out around 4 or 5, typically on those days. I go home and I leave everything at the school. I don't want to bring, ideally, once again, I don't want to bring anything from the school to the home. When I get home, I want to relax, I want to unwind, I want to take a shower, I want to eat some good food, I don't want to watch TV, I want to relax, maybe play the game, see my cat, and just kind of just separate, school and home as much as you can, That's kind of ideally for me. And it helps whenever I do have those type of days. I actually feel more refreshed the next day going to class whenever I do that. Also, by doing this, I also find that the week of the test or the day before the test, I'm not as stressed out because I, in a way, been putting in the work before in terms of getting ready for the test, proactively studying. So that's another benefit of doing that for me, at least. And realistically, I understand that you can't study for every single class every single day. It's just impossible. It's too much information. It's too much things to go over. So another big thing I typically do with the study sessions is that I kind of prioritize, which classes are more challenging, and also which tests are coming up in the following weeks or following days. And I kind of make a mental schedule in terms of what I'm going to be studying that day from day throughout the week. It's virtually impossible to study for every single class every single day. I mean, I won't say it's impossible, it's just very, very, very difficult and probably unhealthy. So keep that in mind as well too. And thirdly, this is a really short, quick point, and probably most of y'all already understand it, and it's obvious, but be there in class and be present. I mean mentally be present, intentionally listening and trying to understand what the professor is going over in that class that day. Some classes, I may not even take a lot of notes. I take a lot of scant notes because most of the time I'm just listening and making connections and processing the information in my brain. And then, like I said, after class that day, I go and I revisit all that stuff during, study. To me, personally, that's like 70% of my preparation for any test. Because if I can understand it in the class, then when I go back and look at the material afterwards, it's so much easier. So much easier. So just something to keep in mind. The fourth thing I find to be very beneficial is have accountability partners, or have an accountability partner in terms of like, studying and things like that. Like attracts like, iron sharpens iron. Finding someone like a good friend that whenever y'all get together and y'all study, you're gonna get something out of it. Enrich each other's understanding of the material. They may find something, like a good resource and may be able to share it to you, and vice versa. You may be able to find something to share with them. And also they may hear something from the lecture, or understood something from the lecture that you may not have a great understanding about, and they can help you improve your understanding on it, and vice versa. You can help improve their understanding of something as well too. So having that cohesiveness, especially like in your study groups, is very important. I have at least one person that I know whenever we get together, it's going to be a productive time. And we don't even spend 3 hours. Sometimes we may just go through things for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and boom, we're done. I understand some people like to study by themselves, and that's great too. But I do believe that it's more refreshing to study with someone else. And lastly, use every resource to your advantage. If professors upload a practice quiz, practice tests, questions with answers, or any like maybe article or readings in the book, use those to your advantage in helping you further your understanding of the material. You have classmates that may make Quizlets or have a OneDrive with a nice sheet of notes, just fairly well organized. Obviously, you gotta get their permission to use that stuff, but if you can, ask around the classroom too. Use everything to your advantage. And also, this may sound boring, but if your professor uploads an article, like a scientific article about something and whatever material you're learning. For example, we are learning endocrinology and physiology too right now, and our professor has an article on some research he's done with certain hormones. I did a little bit of reading onto that, and the hormones and the receptors he was talking about in lecture were the same ones he did research on. And honestly, reading that paper helped further my understanding of it. And also, it's another way to kind of apply it in terms of like real life application too, which is actually my last point. I know I said that was my last point, was this fifth point, but really actually there's this last point I gotta say, and it's called applying what you're learning to real life application. So I have two jobs. I have one job at the surgery unit where I help prepare and set up the ORs for surgery for neuro cases, ortho cases, soft tissue, onco, just all the whole shebang of things. And I have another job where I work at the large animal hospital, and I work with the horse patients there in terms of like doing rounds of them, checking on them, physicals, things like that, and also helping the clinicians and being assistants there. And while I'm over in those areas, I always try to find a way to apply what I've learned in class to what I'm seeing in the clinical field or the clinical situation. And if you don't have a job right now, especially in school, I understand. During the summer, you go back to your clinics and work, or maybe even shadow or volunteer at other clinics. You can do it then and there. Or Animal Plan is a good, resource. There's a lot of vets on there that go through a lot of cases. You can kind of quiz yourself. You can say, okay, this patient presented with this. This is what I think. At the end of the episode, they're going to tell you what it actually is and what they did and why I did and whatever. And then boom, that's a way to kind of like apply what you're learning to real life application. With that being said, that's it for this video. Thank you for taking the time today to watch this video. I hope this video was helpful, insightful, and leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Like I said, if you have any other things that you do, tips, tricks, help you in veterinary school, please drop in the comments. Let's make this video a very positive one, helping all people, helping everybody in the veterinary community that is going through school, because I'm telling you, we're all in this together, so let's help each other out. So that being said, thank you, and God bless you all, and I'll see you all next video.